Hello and welcome back to the 1874 podcast. It's me, Dan Bardell. Don't worry, this show isn't just me rambling on my own. Jacob Tanswell from The Athletic will be joining me shortly to look back on Leeds United 1, Aston Villa 2. We get inside the day. Jacob obviously spoke to Unai and has been in and around the game in the mix zone and stuff. So it's a great podcast with Jacob, as always, because of Jacob, not because of me. I don't want to sound like I'm blowing my own trumpet here. This show is sponsored, as ever, by NordVPN. If you head to 1874.io/NordVPN, you get a huge discount, 4 months for free as well. And it's completely risk-free because Nord offer a 30-day money-back guarantee if you are not satisfied. If you're watching this via YouTube, you can also scan the QR code that will be on the screen now. And I presume you can actually scan that QR code if you're watching on Spotify as well. Just wanted to come on and just do what I usually do in the outro, in the intro, so maybe the more people will hear it. Please subscribe wherever you are getting this podcast. The channel's doing really well at the moment. Numbers are really strong across all platforms. But if you could subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. Leave us a comment, leave us a review, do all those things that I bang on about every single week that help. Reviews on Apple Podcasts would be absolutely massive. I see that a couple of people have done that. So thank you very much. I loved coming on last night and doing the match reaction and interacting live with the audience. I'll try and do more lives. I always say it, but sometimes I'll get stressed about the internet connection when you do a live and that it looks unprofessional and whatnot. Like, I'm learning new skills all the time at the moment with thumbnails and the tech side of things. So I do panic, but I will try and get on and do more lives because I do really enjoy interacting with the audience and the people that watch and listen. And so many people come up to me at Villa Park and speak to me about the content and say they're enjoying it. People from all over the world as well when they go to Villa Park. So thank you very much for all the support you give the channel. If you do want to give some extra support, I've mentioned previously we've had some disasters with sponsorship recently, a few things going on. If you could go to buymeacoffee.com/Dan Bardell, no pressure at all. No one has to do this, but if you're enjoying the content and you want to donate a little bit of money to the channel, you can by going to buymeacoffee.com/Dan Bardell. That's enough from me. You all heard enough from me for half an hour last night in the 2 minutes that we've got here. Let's get straight into it now. Well, not straight into it. Let's get into it now with Jacob Tanswell, the Athletic's Aston Villa reporter. Let's look back and get inside Leeds United 1, Aston Villa 2. Jacob, fresh back from Elland Road. Me, fresh back from Liverpool. A day of journeys, a day of travels. But let me tell you, Jacob, at half-time, I did not feel very happy at all with Villa. It felt like they got a little bit bullied, struggled a little bit with the intimidation factor at Elland Road. But by the 95th, 96th minute when the game finished, I was delighted with the turnaround in the second half. It was another great result for Villa. That's like 6 wins out of 7 or something ridiculous now. We just keep churning out results unless it's at Anfield, and Liverpool are absolutely hopeless except against us. But that's a brilliant result, isn't it?
Yeah, amazing result. Not so much the performance or the game itself, but it's one of those that actually may mean more than like a Man City win, right? Because this is the type of game where we could easily lose, right? And it's one of those games where, although Villa and Emery in particular have been unbelievable, it's newly promoted sides, right? He's never lost to one. There are games last season that, Emery said even last week, where he looks back on with regret, the 2 Ipswich draws. This one was one of those games where Villa could have dropped points, and yet at risk of undoing some of the good work that you did previously before the international break. So to back that up straight away, to get 3 more points in a stadium that's difficult, right? Before Villa, they'd lost once in 14 months. I know that was in the Championship. So
1 in 25, yeah.
Yeah, so there's a caveat of some kind, but at the same time, if you were there in a stadium, you knew how difficult the conditions were. The pitch was terrible, the rain, the atmosphere as well. And Villa, as you said, were not very good first half. Leeds weren't very good second half. So they got the 3 points. If I'm being honest, on another day, Villa could have drawn or lost that game. It's one of those where it was purely in the balance, and Villa managed to get the rub of the green. But it was a big win and brilliant goal to win it.
Yeah, Villa have come out the right side of it and have rose to 4th in the table now. I said in the previews that to get to 4th at this point of the season in November with Wolves to come at home as well, this was a real chance, especially with the game in Europe on Thursday, to try and get 3 wins and really keep this momentum going that we've got at the moment. And they did it. It doesn't matter how they did it, that they did it. And to be 4th at this stage of the season now, especially after the start that we had, I think it's absolutely incredible.
It's astonishing, and I said to you beforehand, and I said it at a live show, if Villa get in the top 7, I think that's his best achievement. So the fact they're 4th now is amazing, really. If you look at that squad, not much changed. We said before, they're getting older, they've been together. There's that possibility of stagnation, of the team growing old and stale together, given the facts of the summer and how low they were. And I know there's a lot of revisionism now, like people overreacted, and to an extent, some people did, right? But even Villa, people at Villa will admit things were bad at the start of the season. It was flat. There were a lot of concerns from the players, from the coaches, from other figures. There was a lot of concern. It wasn't a case of, you know, media or supporters overreacted. People at the club felt it too. But Emery is getting more out of these players, and I thought that was left available. He's still doing it, and there's a few games this season where I think he's won them the game. And you see it even now, right? Makes halftime changes. They provide an immediate impact. He did that against Fulham as well in a big game over a month ago. What he's doing is incredible, and the fact that they're fourth is wonderful. Again, I don't want to be a negative Nelly down. I still do have my doubts over the sustainability of these wins. Because yeah, there's certain things I see where I think, can they keep getting away with it? But what you can't write off is the fact that Emery has provided a team that got a great mentality in terms of being able to churn out points in when they're not playing well, and also they're so consistent. Rarely do they go on a really bad run. And at the start of the season, really, we've seen it throughout this 3 years.
Yeah, as soon as that transfer window shut, actually, like the whole landscape of the club's completely changed. There's been not really any bad results except for the Liverpool game that I can remember since the transfer
Yeah,
window shut. They've dropped points, yes, but in the main, they have been just drilling out and churning out those wins, and I think they deserve an awful amount of credit for that. They've got a brilliant record after the international break as well.
yeah,
Stato said in the stat pack before this game that Villa's record after the international break is very, very good. The game didn't get off to a brilliant start. One of the things that you might be alluding to is that Villa have gone back to they like to concede the first shot quite often still. And I've got to say, it's a bad goal. I haven't over analysed it at this point. I think Martinez can probably be a little bit stronger, in my
probably.
opinion. But I do think there's a couple of other things around that goal that it could have been disallowed for.
Yeah,
I will say the last 5 goals we've let in away from home have all been really, really poor. Like it
yeah.
feels like if a team doesn't have to do that much to score past us away from home, and it's quite the opposite at Villa Park. They deserve absolute credit for how they've recovered from that and to go on and win the game, which we'll come on to. It's another bad start to a game, isn't it, Jacob?
Yeah, it was. And Villa scoring great goals, but yet conceding terrible ones. Um, yeah, in fairness, you could say a bit unlucky. On another day, maybe the VAR or referee would have given something, be it a foul, be it a couple of offsides. Watkins was playing Ampadu on, but with it by a fraction, with his elbow, which still is quite contentious in my eyes.
Yeah, I don't get that.
So it could have been ruled out, but equally, it's a pretty basic free kick to the back post. Villa don't deal with the first ball. Emery Martinez it's got a vulnerability, increasing vulnerability for high balls. He looks quite fragile and weak, something that you
He's
don't
always been
expect.
really good at that.
Yeah, so I don't know what's going on, but the way he jumps, he almost like backs away from. If he just jumped normally, he might have actually got the foul because it would have initiated contact. You know how goalkeepers are protected,
Yeah.
like endangered species. But he actually backs away. He puts his foot in the way. He makes a meal of it. He goes down. Don't know why it requires treatment. Doesn't deal with it. They score. Consequently, unfortunately, clears it
It's a
onto the back.
calamitous goal.
It's a terrible goal. But what I found quite worrying really is that the pitch was terrible. Like even from the warm up, you could see possession. It was slow. Like you really need to fizz it into your teammate if you was going to get there. It would hold up on the pitch. Pitch was bobbly, and yet Villa still tried to play out from the back, but the passing was so slow that it took ages to get to. Like if Martinez passed it to Conte, it took ages. And by the time ball did get to Conte, they could press, and it really gave Leeds encouragement. So I just felt like they were slipping into old habits that you see away from home in terms of giving teams encouragement to press, not get the ball forward quick enough when there was an obvious 2v2. You know, the two Leeds centre backs were getting split. It was a great opportunity to attack, but Villa fundamentally didn't do the basics right. I was talking to a couple of the Villa guys at half time, and they were like, "Yeah, we're getting overrun at the moment." And it was quite obvious to see they weren't winning 50-50s, weren't winning the duels. Leeds fans were up. and it just felt like this pretty basic thing, and it was disappointing. But at the same time, it was quite obvious areas of where Villa could go, going wrong and how they could address it.
Yeah, the passing in the first half, the pitch did look heavy the
Yeah,
whole way through
yeah.
the game. Leeds obviously adapted to that very well. You're right to call out the fact that Villa were a bit ponderous at times, and I thought Leeds actually played with a great energy and great pressing
It suited their game
in
though,
that
didn't
first
it?
half.
The scrappy,
Yeah,
stodgy game suited the way that Leeds wanted to play.
yeah, and they pressed Villa, and I don't think Villa dealt with it well. I described at half time on Twitter, Villa got bullied, and I did
Yeah.
genuinely feel like that. I thought the ref wasn't brilliant. He did feel like he was a bit overzealous in some respects, and then was letting other things go. I think McGinn was completely losing his rag. We didn't want to call out McGinn in that first half. I think when the chips are down and Villa were getting bullied, he's the one that stands up to that. I didn't feel like anyone else really did that, and we're getting bullied. The passing's poor. It was a real terrible first half. Actually, we had moments,
Mm.
didn't we? But it did feel. You started to go back to thinking this is a team that can get bullied and struggle with the physical aspect of the game.
Yeah, and you knew what Leeds were going to do, right? You knew they were going to try and get on top of you, be physical. I thought Villa players got rattled pretty easily and pretty quickly, actually. And I was thinking, come on, guys, like throughout your 4 analysis meetings, 2 of which you've had today, surely you knew this was coming. Um,
Had 2 meetings on the day.
yeah, they always do.
Is
Probably more,
is that
actually.
normal?
Yeah, but yeah, I actually thought Villa looked like like some elements would seem that you saw early in the season. They could not find Watkins. Watkins was actually getting involved, but I think for the first 40 minutes he made one pass. He was getting bullied. The connection between the front four was poor. They were losing a lot of balls. Pau Torres in particular was trying to force the ball forward. The body language didn't look good. There was a bit of moaning at each other. Emery was getting
Rogers.
exasperated. Rogers as well. He was getting rattled, and that's something that he needs to improve on. Like, I've got this piece obviously going out Monday morning, which is singing his praises. But I do think a lot of teams know how good he is, but they're starting to do a few tricks where they just leave one on him, being very aggressive, and he's not reacting too well to it at the moment. He needs to. I'm sure it'll come with age and maturity, but he's getting a bit riled too quickly. But obviously, like you say, great reaction in the second half. But for Watkins, he had that shot actually from long range, didn't he, which just went
Unlucky.
wide. Yeah, and I just thought maybe that's what he needs to do. Just not think, just leather it, like go full John Duran. Uh, and yeah, maybe the last 10 minutes they probably showed their best form actually been in the first half. They started to pass the ball, full stop, started to combine the final third, and they had a few chances or a few entries into the final third. I I think Watkins's form is a big cause for concern. He was better in the second half when Marlon came on. But let's be honest, if Villa didn't win that, I probably would have done the piece on Watkins, and a lot more attention would have been on him. I really don't know what it is, um, but his first 45 minutes seemed to be emblematic of the team's frustration, really.
Yeah, I mean, even Tillerman was giving the ball away, and when that's
It's
happening,
difficult for him, though,
there's
wasn't
a
it?
problem.
You
Yeah,
think
I
he's
was
been
surprised he
injured?
lasted. I was surprised he
Yeah,
lasted as long as he did.
been injured and he's coming into that type of game. You're right, it's hard, for any player, let alone a player that's just coming back. And it's a shame, really, because Onana's been in good form, and he might have been of use, especially in that first half, maybe.
Every time he gets going, he gets injured. It's just been the
He
story of
can't,
his
he
year
can't,
and a bit.
he can't play for Belgium and then come back and play. He picks up a niggle, whether it's in the last game for Villa or away on international duty. He can't combine the two at the moment.
Yeah, Villa and Belgian FA, I'm sure, are getting on like a house on fire. Something just seems to happen around the international break, one way or the other, every single time. Just on Watkins, I didn't think he was bad. Actually, let's rephrase that completely. I thought he was no worse or no better than anyone else really in that first half. Showed some flashes like the shot that he put wide. The thing that's now I'm watching him is that he got put through at one point, and I don't know if it was because the pitch held up or whatever, but he just doesn't look as fast as he used to be now. Like I'm visibly seeing that there's a yard of pace
Yeah,
that's kind of gone. I hate using that term, but he does. That is what it feels like
yeah.
when I'm watching him. He's not in motion. It's not smooth. And is the injury that made him miss out of the England squad? Is it a thing? Is that something that's holding him back from playing his natural game at the moment? Because I'm his biggest supporter, but there's only so long I can keep trundling out the same lines every single week. He's not putting the ball in the back of the net, and he's Villa centre forward. His record this season is terrible. But I'm watching him, and it's like he can't sprint. And is it
Mm.
anything to do with the injury?
He's had this niggle for basically 2 seasons now, and it's something you just got to manage. Well, Tillemans has got the same thing. He's got a issue with his knee. But he's managing it better than other players. No player's going to go into a game 100% fit. Everyone's going to have a niggle at some point or a bit of soreness. But with Watkins, with Martin, you can see an intensity to him.
Hmm.
But Watkins is. I don't want to go too harsh because obviously we've sung his praises, but
I don't think he's a lack of work rate or
it's
anything
not. But
along
it's
those
just
lines.
he's just struggling. It's like let's say like in a 400-meter race, right? There's person at the front or the leading, he just completely or he or she just completely shuts off, and then they almost like seem to be running backwards at the end. That's how Watkins seems to be at the moment. He's toiling, his shoulders are going, his head's down, but it's not free flowing, it's not in rhythm. Marlin comes on, you see a complete change in sprints and intensity. I don't want this to all revolve around Watkins, but I do think there's a big concern really in terms of can he physically get back to where he was. I don't think he's been physically at his peak for 18 months. Whether he can get back, I don't know. But again, it's a question of he is feeding off scraps at times. There was a disconnect obvious in the first half,
Yeah.
but because we've held him at such a big stand and a high stand, haven't we? In terms of he's been one of the most consistent goal scorers in the Premier League for 3-4 seasons. He needs to be doing more. A striker, even when you get into your latter years, things slow down, but your brain should still be sharp, especially for a guy that's got that much experience. So we need to see more from him. But it's been a while now, hasn't it? One goal in 19 games?
Yeah, it's not a good record, is it? That part of me just looks at it still and thinks I still don't think there's a genuine centre forward to come in and play instead of him. Like I love Marlon, I think he's absolutely brilliant, but I don't think he's a solo number 9 by any stretch of the imagination. Gasson's probably the other option, and I don't think that of him either. So I'm kind of looking at next weekend against Wolves and thinking you're playing the worst team in the league.
You play him up top.
Can you just
Go Burnley again. You play both of them together. If
yeah?
Rob Edwards plays
He
a
looks
back
better when
three,
Marlon's on the pitch.
yeah. You play, but if Rob Edwards plays back three, you can definitely play Marlon and Watkins together. I don't see there's any issues with that. And Marlon deserves to play, so it might help Watkins.
Yeah,
And
let's
Watkins did get
talk.
better, didn't he? Second half, actually. We'll talk
Yeah,
about it. He did get better second half. He had a few chances and looked a lot sharper.
basically when there's two of them there, they're playing as Marlon's essentially playing off Watkins, but they're
Yeah.
playing as a pair in a lot of ways. When Marlon's on the pitch, Watkins tends to drift out more to the left, and I felt like he's having more joy when he's in those pockets rather than being so centrally based and when he's finding it hard to get into the game and we're not giving him much service. It's not like he's missing loads of chances here, is it? Like there's very little service for the centre forward at the moment unless you're making something out for yourself, which is what Marlon's actually pretty good at. He made those subs at half time and it was absolutely needed. It needed some energy, it needed some pace injected into the team, and he did that with Maatsen and Marlon, and straight away it pays dividends. Marlon just gets himself into a great position, fires the ball across it. It's a smart finish from Rodgers. But first off, I felt like that the subs were warranted. Like even Luca Dean, I think he's having a bad game, but I just felt like it needed a bit of pace in the team.
Yeah. With Luca Dean and Watkins sometimes on his own, sometimes especially actual winger, it does feel a bit one pace. You do need that burst of pace from Marlin or Mats. And I asked Emery afterwards, I said, because like straight away you picked up on how Leeds were pressing. The fullbacks of Leeds were going centrally with McGinn and Bardell, the two tens, and Rodgers and Watkins were splitting. They're almost playing like wide forwards, like
Yeah.
split strikers. And usually, I always think, what does the opposition centre back do? Does he stay central, or does he go right out high? They leave that massive space in the middle. And Rodon in particular was going right out wide with right to the left with Watkins, and I thought, oh, that's very interesting because there's a huge space in the middle for anyone to fill and run into.
We had 3 number 10, so you'd think someone might run into that space, mightn't you?
Yeah, so I asked Emery afterwards, and he said we identified it straight away before kickoff, the 2v2, and we wanted Rodgers to do what Marlon did second half, but Marlon's more inclined to go away from the ball. It's very rare nowadays in football that you have a striker or any player for that matter that doesn't want to come to feet, and they're more natural to go away from it. And so basically, it was the same ploy what they were trying first half. They just had the player that could do it or best exponent of it, and then you saw that so many times that, especially in the first 10-15 minutes of the second half, where Villa would turn the ball over. Watkins would be almost like a left winger back to his Exeter days. Marlon would be off the right, and that cross was like a winger cross. He just drilled it into the box, and yeah, great goal and great finish.
He's just full of beans, isn't he, Marlon? Like he comes into the game, he must think how am I not playing more games for this club? Like he must sit there and think that, but he never lets it show. Even when he was coming on, I think he had a smart smile on his face. Comes on and just makes a difference straight away. We must now be bordering on a time where he has to play him. And do you? I don't know what you asked him after the game, but has he ever like explained why he doesn't get more football?
He basically says he's not a number nine or he's not a winger, and we've done a podcast on it before, and I've
Mm,
done pieces on it. The position he is, Villa don't really use unless you make an exception and you change the system a little bit. Like they tried to against Leeds and against Burnley. So really, the only way you get Marlon in is from the start is to change the system a little bit, but then that has a knock-on effects other areas. What I will say is Marlon plays like a Villa supporter coming on for Villa. Like they're going to give it absolutely everything. They're going to try their hard every single minute. They're going to try to do something. They're going to be so direct. They're going to try and score goals. And to top it off, he's a very nice man as well. So I really have got a soft spot for Marlon. I think he's nice guy. Does and always comes on with a great attitude and wanting to make an impact. He's maybe one of the most impactful subs in the Premier League, isn't he? Like every single game, he'll do something. Like he'll have a shot from that. Even when Villa aren't even attacking, he'll have a shot or create a chance. He could have had a few more, a few goals today as well.
yeah,
He was,
he should have done better with the
yeah,
one. If he'd have fired it back
yeah,
across the keeper, I think he'd have scored. He ended up lashing it over the
yeah.
bar, didn't he? But he had chances. But he
It's
makes
great.
things happen. He
Yeah,
makes because I think Villa suffer. I was obviously watching the game, and we must be the only team in the world that doesn't have a winger. Like we have to be the only team in the world that doesn't have a proper winger in the squad. And usually a winger has a bit of trickery and a little bit of pace. I know Marlon isn't a winger, but he's almost like the closest thing that we've got to a player that's just head down, run. He's a runner. I just think we've got to find a space for him now. It's difficult because obviously the three that have been playing off Watkins have been Buendia, Rogers, and McGinn. I think it's probably difficult to leave one of them out. But
mm.
even just next week against Wolves, Marlon's got to play. He has to.
Yeah. In hindsight, it probably wasn't Buendia's game, was it? In terms of it's very physical. Pitch wasn't
Mm.
great. Yeah, Buendia's been brilliant. You couldn't leave him out after the performance he's put in against Bournemouth. But yeah, it didn't suit him. And yeah, I would love to see Marlon from the start. I just think he's entertaining as well in a similar way that I really like John Duran. He makes things happen. You never go through a game and you think, didn't really see Marlon today. He's always doing something, or you always remember a shot of it or a chance of his. So yeah, I think he should play. And against, like you say, it's a team that's not very good, the worst in the league. You can really,
I'm wary of that. I'm wary of that game next week. I am. They haven't
but you can
won.
go for it. You can go for it. You can be really positive and go for it.
Yeah, just think he's got to come into the team. He literally can't do any more than what he's doing at this point. And credit to Matson as well for coming on, because I think he injected something down that left hand side as well, just by being a pacey player. That sometimes think in certain games we don't have enough pace, and those two certainly rectified that. And in fairness, Emery made another round of subs as well, didn't he? Getting Sancho and Barkley on. Barkley back in that 10 position. I was quite surprised he took McGinn and Watkins off when he did. I was surprised it was those two that were sacrificed. But again, he's got it spot on, because Barkley's come into the game and done well again, as he has done most times he's ever come on as a substitute for Villa. But he wins that free kick with a driving run that we score off. Emery's use of subs, I think that's often the difference between like just normal managers and top class managers. And my producer at Talksport's a Leeds fan. I was speaking to him through the game, and he was saying at half time, like, this game's going to be won or lost by subs.
Mm.
It was a great shout, because I thought he said that Farker's quite reactive rather than proactive, whereas I think Emery was. I mean, he obviously has reacted to what's happened in the first half, but when he got Barkley and Sancho on, that was proactive, whereas Farker's subs felt a bit more reactive in that second half.
Yeah, the two dark guys were polarizing really because, like you say, Emery was proactive. He didn't waste any time in terms of making changes at halftime. But then you have Elland Road were actually singing "Make a Sub." Like all four sounds were like "Make a Sub." They wanted
What
Brendan
tune was that
Harrison.
to? I didn't hear that.
I'm not gonna. Yeah, I'm not.
Come on. I've never heard that jam before. Is it like Farker, make a sub,
That's
Farker,
it.
Farker?
That's
Was it
it.
that? Okay.
Yeah.
Good guess.
But Brendan Harrison like, was getting dogs abuse. It was similar to Rogers against Bologna. Like he couldn't make a pass. They were get him off. No, people near me. And he kept him on. And when they did make a sub, which it wasn't him first of all, there was ironic cheers. So that was in contrast, wasn't it, to Emery? And what Emery's good at is obviously he picks the timings. He knows what the game state is, and he picks players that he feels can do a job. Sancho, not so much. I don't think it was his game.
No.
To be honest with you, I would have brought him on. But Barkley he's very experienced. He knows it. And Emery really, really likes him in terms of being a sub. But starter, I'm not sure. I still have my doubts whether Villa will activate the 12-month option at the end of the season to keep him for another year. But
Well, is that a thing to get Sancho for another? Oh, sorry,
no,
Barkley. I got
Barkley, yeah.
confused. Yeah, carry on.
Off the bench,
Yeah.
he'll give you everything. He's sharp, and he's what Emery likes about him is when like you call a player in from the sides and then you give them their instructions. Some players look at you like, "What?" I remember one player a couple of years ago that didn't follow out Austin McPhee's instruction, and McPhee was fuming. But Barkley already knows what they want from him, like before anyone tells him anything. Like as soon as he comes on, he knows his role, he knows his job, and yeah, he can close the game out, but he can also pop up and create a goal, score a goal. So yeah, good subs. And again, there's been a lot of times this season where the subs have been very impactful. And
Now, I don't think I've ever seen Morgan Rogers take a free kick for Villa before, Jacob, but you had a good feeling when he was standing over the ball. Looked like it was going to be a similar technique to Buendia the last game against Bournemouth. You had a good feeling with him standing over the ball, and we were right to have that good feeling. Same as Buendia, because something going on at Bodymore at the moment. They have got that knuckleball down to a T. How did Rogers manage to get himself to the top of the queue for that one, given that he's never taken a free kick in a game for Villa before?
It's my piece tomorrow. It's analysing the free kick. I tapped the other journalist on the shoulder like when he was lying out. I said, "This is going," and you could just tell like there was so much space on that side of the goal. It was huge amounts of space, and to get it it's like a sandwich to get it up and over so quickly. If you look at the photos, the still images, it was just like touching the Leeds player's hair. Like that was the margins, and it was a great goal. Roger said afterwards he's not as good as Buendia. Buendia was on, he probably would have taken it. He had to go obviously first half. Buendia. If Luca Dean was on, maybe he would have tried with that left-footed angle, which probably
Tielemans
suited.
doesn't get any of these shooting free kicks, does he?
But Rogers has been working on it in training. He wanted to add another technique to his toolkit. And I remember talking to his first ever junior coach, Rogers, and they were saying like he's the only player that he's seen aged 3 and 4 that could kick the ball over an adult crossbar. Like his power is brilliant. It was just about one of the reasons why I went to this knuckleball technique was to almost like harness this power to like not kick it over, just a little short backlift, minimal backlift, and yeah, over the wall. And this is what Rogers does, right? He's not at times he's not very free flowing. He makes frustrating decisions, but he's now getting numbers. He's now contributed. He's now scoring more. And before the Tottenham game, in that period, he told people that he wanted to shoot more, and he wanted more chances to shoot. And so taking a free kick was a perfect opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely delighted. It's a hell of a strike. You could look at the goalkeeper and think, actually, he ended up quite close to you, but you could see him almost like peering around. I don't think he positioned his ball brilliantly.
It's a
great
it looked
free.
bizarre. Yeah, it looked bizarre though, didn't it? It wasn't in the corner.
I think he is a bit of a bizarre goalkeeper, actually, from what I've seen of him so far this season. Now, I'm not fully. I sound like a goalkeeper hater because I'm always criticising goalkeepers, but I'm definitely not sure about the Leeds goalkeeper. Who cares? Because it's gone in, and then Villa do their best. You know, they always say you're most vulnerable when you've just scored. And within a minute, Villa did their best to contrive to chuck away the lead. But thankfully, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, who, if you, I don't know whether you saw the shots back of him insisting, it was my stomach. It was my stomach. Pretty obvious handball, and thank God he got disallowed.
Tielemans was laughing at him, wasn't he?
And Kamara, yeah.
Yeah, it's funny actually because when Dan James was warming up on the side, some random bloke, like a fan, called him over and started to give him like tactical instructions. Like he was pointing this random fan. He had his arm over Dan James' shoulder and was like gesturing to him like where to run when he would come on. And Dan James, in fairness to him, was like listening. I thought
that's the most bizarre thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, it was like, is this a coach that's been planted in the ground? He must have been about 60, 70 odd. Anyway, he makes that exact run for the goal. So he must have been listening. And yeah, Villa were lucky there, weren't they? Pau Torres, difficult pitch. He's slow as it is. Looked a lot slower today, actually. But yeah, Villa got away with it. But this is the luck you need, right? We can all be.
I mean, it is handball. It's not luck. It's handball.
No, it is handball. But this is those moments in isolation where if he doesn't handball it and he just nudges it off his stomach like he claims to, it's 2-2. We can all be tactical. We all can say this is what Villa did well, this is what they did badly. But essentially, football comes down to split seconds and limbs, basically, and that can decide a game. So Villa got away with one there. Calvert-Lewin, yeah, it's not been a very good period, has it, for England's deputy strikers, Watkins and Calvert-Lewin, obviously being backups in recent major tournaments, but they got away with it, Villa, and yeah, and then Martin, we come on to it. Martin has made that big save as well.
Yeah, he did. That was a much needed save. I mean, I've criticised him for the goal and criticised him a few weeks ago against Liverpool, but he does still manage to have those big moments. It was an important save. Made that save probably look easier than it is.
Yeah, brilliant save in real time as well. It was very quick and to react like he did, get down really sharp, push it away. Yeah, he's made big saves this season. He's saved points. He drops a clanger quite regularly
I
as
just
well.
can't
Now,
work him out anymore. I
no,
can't.
he used to be a model of consistency. Now he's either unbelievable or not very good at all. So yeah, he produced a big moment, and that's what you want from your big player, right? To get, he made a mistake first half. He's now made up for that, atone for that error. So fair play to him.
Yeah, we do have a few problems at top end and the bottom end of the pitch, whichever way you look at it. At the moment, I was like, you knew a couple of years ago, your goalkeeper's the one. He's on it. You wouldn't change him for anyone. And the centre forward's absolutely flying, double figures for goals and assists. So reliable, so consistent. At the moment, there's a few question marks at both ends of the pitch, but we are getting results and we are getting wins. And keep saying this run of goals from outside the box and whatnot can't continue, but it keeps continuing.
It is at the moment, yeah. I
You're
do,
not
yeah,
having
like
it,
I
are you?
said, no, I don't. Again, I've been don't want to feel like I'm critical, but I've obviously given Villa a lot of praise in terms of managing to grind out a big win and where they are in the league is incredible. But Emery will know, the coaching staff will know this is not sustainable. That's why they'll be working, and they're still working on being more free flowing in possession, reducing individual errors from the goalkeeper, basically. Um, but it's interesting, right? Because I've written before, we've talked about it. Martinez and Watkins were arguably the two indispensable players of Emery's era, right? And if either of them got injured, you thought, oh my word, like who's going to come in? Maybe still the same for Watkins because it's not a real number nine. But if Martinez got injured for a few weeks, you're fine with a deputy. You're not, as you saw us last summer, you're not against him moving on because you feel actually we might potentially get a pretty decent replacement in. And the same might be true for the striker as well. So it's interesting how their standings have changed, but they're both on their day can make such big differences. We want to see more from that from Watkins, but
Mm.
Martinez produced a good second half. And it's one of those games where Emery will look at it in analysis sessions, Dan, and he'll not be happy with a lot of aspects of that. The rhythm he mentioned afterwards, but he'll be very happy with the mentality in the second half and how his team battled. And that was a huge ingredient in the win.
Yeah, brilliant win. Puts Villa into the top four, which is where we all want to be. Kind of positionally
Amazing.
wise now, it feels a little bit like that first season when we got top four. Now with where we are at this stage of the season,
Yeah.
which at the start of the season I would have never ever seen coming.
It's
So
phenomenal, isn't it?
credit to everyone. Yeah,
Mm.
absolutely brilliant. Before we let you go, have you got anything coming up this week that you would like to plug? I know you promised to come on Wednesday if you recall. I'm hot, even though you come on today. I'm still
Oh,
holding
do
you
I have
to
to
the
still come
Wednesday
on?
slot.
Do I have to still come on Wednesday now?
Oh yeah,
Oh, this is
Wednesdays.
it.
Yeah, I've teased a transfer show, Jacob. So you've got to
Transfer
come.
show for
Transfer
what?
slash SCR show.
Oh my word. You should get Matt Slater on instead. Yeah, not.
Matt Slater too clever to do a podcast with. I've done podcasts with Matt Slater before. He's way too clever for me. I don't, yeah, I'm out of my depth.
I'm off for the first couple of days this week, unsurprisingly. But if you haven't read my piece from about Villa's relationships with other clubs, that came out
I
last
actually
week.
haven't.
So make sure you read that because that's one of the better stuff I've done recently. So
Oh,
go and look at that actually.
it's a bit harsh on yourself considering you did an interview with Ross Barkley recently,
That
Jacob.
obviously that was the best thing I've done recently. But these other things, there's some articles you go, you know what, that was okay. This one I was happy and very proud of. So read that one, and I'm sure there'll be more things coming out. A few interviews here and there as well.
Okay.
Oh, and also before,
Oh,
I'd like to do a big Christmas read to get yourself in the festive spirit. There'll be a piece on the inner network and structure of Villa and who reports to who. And it will go from Emery all the way down to the academy, chains of command, and also a piece on Roberto Alavi as well.
Okay, that's very good of you. I like the sound of all that. So once again, thank you for joining me today,
Thank you.
Jacob. I know it's your birthday as well, isn't it? So
Big 25 Monday.
that's disgusting that you're only 25.
I feel old, Dan.
I am absolutely repulsed by what I'm hearing now. 20 for you, you're the oldest 25-year-old. Dan Rollington turns 30 this week as well. He's the oldest 30-year-old I've ever met. You're the oldest 25-year-old I've ever met. Like how you two aren't both older, I've absolutely no idea. But yeah, we all hope you have a wonderful birthday. And if anyone wants to wish Jacob a happy birthday in the comments, they can do. Right then, mate. Thank you ever so much.